Somewhere in Europe, about 45,000 years ago, two figures on a glacier. One is completely bare, no fur, no coat, just skin and cold. The other figure is wrapped head to toe, same ice, same wind, very different situation. This is not coincidence. This is about survival. Here's the thing, that bare figure, that's your ancestor. We evolved hairless, on purpose, by selection. And then we walked around, naked, for a long time. Without clothing. Why the gap? Something doesn't add up. And here's the weirdest part. The only living witnesses to the first clothing moment are in your clothes, right now, in your laundry. Let's find out why. Starting from the beginning, why did ancient humans start wearing clothes? Seems like a simple question. Cold? Get a coat. Problem solved, right? Except the timeline doesn't make sense. Today on Nemos, we trace clothing's origin through your DNA, through lice, through 700,000 naked years. 3 things you'll learn today. 1. We ditched fur early, way before we ever dressed. 2. Scientists used parasites to date the first clothing. 3. How you sewed may have saved our species. Subscribe before we start, because this gets strange. Open question 1. When exactly did fur go? Question 2. When did clothing start? Open question 3. Who was better dressed, us or the Neanderthals? All answers are in here. Let's go. We start with the human body and what's missing from it compared to every other primate. We are the naked ape, and that story starts here. Context first. This is you, or your ancestor, Homo sapiens, early version, born mostly hairless. Compared to other primates, you are basically naked. A chimp is covered in fur. You are not. The common story goes like this. Humans lost fur, got cold, grabbed an animal skin, wore it. Problem solved. Evolution. Fast and tidy. It's a clean story, and almost entirely wrong. Not completely wrong, but badly oversimplified. Here's what actually happened. Meet our main character, an early Homo sapiens, Africa, 300,000 years ago. No fur whatsoever. And in Africa, that's totally fine. Hot continent, shade, food, water all around. No winter coat required. Yet, so the real question isn't just, why did humans wear clothes? It's, why did it take over 1 million years? That gap is the mystery. Let's look at the evidence. First, no direct clothing fossils. Not one piece survives. Leather rots, fur decomposes, plant fiber disintegrates. In thousands of years, nothing organic remains. Archaeologists call this the perishables problem. So we use indirect clues. 3 types exist. Clue type 1, tool, scrapers, bone smoothers, used to prepare animal hides. Under a microscope, wear patterns reveal use. These were used on soft material. Clue type 2, needles, specifically with eyes. An eye means threading. Threading means sewing. Sewing means fitted garment, not just a draped skin. Clue type 3, burial beads, found in anatomical position. They outline what was worn. Now, none of these existed at the very beginning of clothing. The first clothing was crude, a skin tied around the body. No sewing, no needle, just held in place. That leaves almost no trace, which is why lice matter. We'll get there. But first, the Sungir burial. Russia. About 34,000 years ago, a man and 2 children, buried with mammoth ivory beads, about 4,000 of them, each drilled by hand, arranged deliberately, in rows, following the skeleton, around the collar, wrists, ankle, at the skull, beads for a cap. Down the chest, a tunic shape. Along the legs, trousers. At the feet, shoes. The cloth decayed completely. The beads remember everything. A cap, a tunic, trousers, and shoes. 34,000 years ago, someone was buried in a full tailored outfit, not a draped hide, deliberately designed, sewn, fitted. That's remarkable, but it raises a bigger question. If by 34,000 years ago we had full tailored suits, when did this all start? Let's go way back, 1.2 million years ago. Our lineage, not sapiens yet. Probably Homo ergaster or early Homo erectus. Something changed. Their fur was going. Not from other mammals, just from our lineage. Why? A gene called MC1R, melanocortin 1 receptor. It controls skin pigmentation, COP, and hair follicle density. COP. Researchers at University of Utah, COP, made a key discovery. COP, Alan Rogers, David Ilta, Stephen Wooding, 2003. They found a selective sweep top in the MC1R gene. A selective sweep means one gene variant spread fast because it was highly advantageous. What version swept? The bare skin, dark pigment version, about 1.2 million years ago. Now, the scientific range is wider. Nina Jablonski and others suggest it could go back 2 million years. The range is accepted science. Working estimate? 1.2 million. So why did bare skin win? Hypothesis 1. Heat control. We were persistence hunters. We chased prey for hours until the animal exhausted. Because mammals overheat. Fur traps heat inside. We needed heat out. Sweat glands helped, but fur would block them. Bare skin plus sweat, natural air conditioning. Far better for long-distance runners. Hypothesis 2. Bigger brains. Our brains were growing. Bigger brains produce more heat. Heat kills neurons. Need to cool the brain efficiently. Bare skin helps heat escape through surface blood vessels. Both theories together. Persistence runners with big, hot brains needed better cooling. Fur was a liability. Natural selection removed it. Over many generations. Slowly. Then, done. By 1.2 million years ago. Bare-skinned ancestor. No fur to speak of, and dark pigmented. To protect against UV radiation, because bare skin burn. Now, the critical gap. Lose fur, 1.2 million years ago. First clothing, 170,000 years ago. Gap, about 1 million years. 1 million years of walking around bare-skinned, without any clothing. What were they doing? Staying warm other ways. Fire was one solution. Stay near warmth. Fire evidence by 400,000 years ago. Caves and rock shelters helped. Natural windbreak, body heat sharing helped. And staying in warm regions. Early humans stayed equatorial. Warm enough without clothing. But then, climate shifted. Ice ages were coming. About 120,000 to 180,000 years ago, temperatures dropped significantly. Ice crept southward. Humans started moving north into colder, harsher climates. Into Europe, into Central Asia. Now cold was a genuine threat. Fire helps, but you can't carry a fire. A cave is fixed in place. You can't take it with you. Something portable was needed, something you could wear, something that moved with you. The animal hide was right there. They had been skinning animals for food for thousands of years. Someone kept the hide, instead of throwing it away, and wrapped it around themselves. Warmer. That was it. Not dramatic, not a eureka moment, more a practical solution. Gradual. So, now, the brilliant question. How do we know? It was 170,000 years ago. No clothing survived, no textiles, no fibers. The answer is a parasite. Meet Pediculus humanus, the human louse. It comes in two varieties. Type 1, head louse. Capitis, lives in scalp hair, has done so for millions of years. Type 2, body louse. Corporus, lives in clothing, cannot survive without it. If you remove the clothes, body lice die within 24 hours. Completely dependent. So where did body lice come from? They evolved from head lice. Millions of years ago. All human lice lived in hair. Exclusively in hair. Then, humans started wearing clothes. A new habitat appeared. Warm, sheltered, safe from wind. Some head lice moved in and adapted over time to become body lice. The split in DNA marks the date clothing appeared. That split lives in their DNA. Scientists can read it, measure the divergence, calculate backwards to origin. That gives the date of clothing. Brilliant method. Let's look at the studies. First, Mark Stoneking, 2003, Max Planck Institute, analyzed louse DNA using mutation rate estimate. He calculated the split at roughly 107,000 years ago. First scientific estimate. Clothing appeared approximately 107,000 years back. Then, David Reed, 2011, University of Florida, new study. More DNA samples, better sequencing technology, refined mutation rate assumptions. Their estimate, 170,000 years ago. A 2010 reanalysis put the number at 190,000. Three estimates now, 107,000, 170,000, 190,000. Scientists call this a range. All three are valid. They reflect real uncertainty, different data, different models. the center of the range, approximately 170,000 years ago. That's our working number. Now, back to the main timeline. Lose fur, 1.2 million years. Wear clothes, 170,000 years. Gap, about 1,030,000 years. 1 million naked years. Surviving without clothing. Then, climate shifted. Ice ages expanded. The timing matches clothing perfectly. Cold triggered clothing. That's the most likely main driver. But maybe not the only one. Status display. Possible. Protection from insects? Sure. Cold is the main driver. Lice gave us the when. Archaeology gives us the how. But there's a third question. Who wore it better? Us or the Neanderthals? That question has a dark answer. Coming in Act 4. Before that, one rehook. You now know that lice in your laundry are descended from parasites that moved into clothing 170,000 years ago. The same species, 170,000 years of clothing. Your clothes carry history. In every stitch and in every seam. Coming up, Act 4, the Neanderthal Showdown. Who wore it better? By 50,000 years ago, modern humans moved into Europe, cold Europe, where Neanderthals had lived for 300,000 years. Two species, same continent, very different wardrobes, and possibly different outcome. That's Act 4. Let's get into it. Right after this. The most surprising part of this whole story is coming next. Stay with it. Act 4. Neanderthals and clothing. Did they wear clothes? Yes, we know this for certain because of tools at their sites. Bone smoothers, scrapers, used for hide preparation. Site, Grotte du Renne, France. Châtel-Perronian period, 45,000 to 42,000 years ago. Some tools had ochre on them, red pigment, possibly decorative. So Neanderthals processed hide, definitely. But what kind of clothing? Neanderthal clothing was different. This appears to have been simple. It's draped, wrapped, cape-like, no tailoring, no eyed needles at Neanderthal site, none confirmed. The precision cutting tools, barely present in their toolkit, compared to Sapiens sites. Ian Gilligan, 2007, Australian National University. His hypothesis, Neanderthals had functional clothing, adequate for moderate cold, but not fitted to the body, draped like a cape, tied at 1 or 2 points only. Cold air gets in through gap. Meanwhile, Homo sapiens had needles with eyes, thread sinew through hides, could create sealed seams, sleeves that closed at the wrist, hoods that sealed the neck, boots attached to trouser legs. In extreme cold, open gaps are fatal. Sealed seams mean survival. Now, the animal bone study. Mark Collard, Simon Fraser University, Journal of Anthropological Archaeology, 2016. They analyzed animal bones at Neanderthal and Sapiens sites, specifically fur-bearing animals, fox, wolf, wolverine, rabbit, animals with dense, useful fur. Which sites had more? Sapiens sites, significantly more. Neanderthal sites, fewer. Why does this matter? Fur trim on fitted clothing. When you sew fitted garments, you add fur at the edges, at the vulnerable cold air gaps. Fox fur, wolverine fur. Dense, long, seals edges well. If sapiens had more fur animal bones, it suggests more fur trim garment, more effective cold sealing. The Neanderthals? Fewer fur trim bones at their sites, possibly simpler strategy. Now, big caveat, this is one hypothesis, not proven, not certain. Other factors caused extinction too. Diet, disease, group size, interbreeding, population pressure. Neanderthal extinction is debated. Clothing, one factor among many. Researchers say, may have played a role. Among several contributing factors. Not clothing was the sole cause. Now, the climate modeling. Nicholas Wales, 2012. He modeled ice age temperatures at sites where both species lived. His question, how much body coverage did you need to survive the cold? Homo sapiens needed to cover 80 to 90% of their body to survive. Neanderthals needed 70 to 80% coverage. Because Neanderthals were stockier, more body mass, less surface area, better inherent cold tolerance. But in extreme glacial cold, 10% difference in coverage is the difference between warm and dead. Fitted clothing closed that gap. Simple, draped clothing did not. That may have mattered enormously. Act 5. The physical evidence. Let's examine artifacts directly. Starting with the oldest candidates, Ibudu Cave, South Africa, about 61,000 years ago. A pointed bone fragment. Researchers thought, sewing needle? Backwell, De Erico, Wadley, 2008. They argued, this could be a needle used to pierce and join hides, but others disagreed. It might be a simple awl, a piercing tool, not a needle. Status: disputed. Promising. Moving to the next artifact, Denisova Cave, Siberia. The most famous early needle, made from bird bone, with a drilled eye. Media reported 50,000 years old, attributed to the Denisovans, a third species of human. But a 2024 review in Science Advances found confirmed eyed needles appear reliably at approximately 40,000 years ago. The Denisova needles date contested. Working range 40,000 to 50,000 years, still staggeringly old. Potok Cave, Slovenia. 47,000 to 41,000 years ago, another bone needle found. More confirmation of the timeline. Kostenki, Russia, approximately 30,000 years ago. Bone needles found here. Shaogushan, China, 30,000, 23,000 years. A consistent global picture emerges. By approximately 40,000 years ago, humans across continents were sewing with eyed needles. Important distinction: needles not equal to first clothing. Clothing started approximately 170,000 years ago. Eyed needle approximately 40,000 years ago. First clothing had no needle. Draped, tied with sinew. Basic piercing with a simple awl. Needles came much later, when clothing got sophisticated. Now, Sungir, the full story. Russia, 34,000 years ago. A burial of 3 people, 1 adult, 2 children, with roughly 4,000 ivory beads. That number is staggering. Each bead carved from mammoth tusk. Each one individually drilled. One researcher estimated approximately 45 minutes per bead to make. 4,000 beads times 45 minutes equals about 3,000 hours of labor for one burial outfit. That is not pure survival. That is meaning. That is identity. That is love, grief, care. Someone spent 3,000 hours making an outfit for the dead 34,000 years ago. Let that sit. Now, myth-busting time. Myth 1. Humans got cold, immediately dressed. Busted. The gap is over 1 million years. People got cold. They didn't dress. They used fire, caves, heat sharing. Clothing came much later with the Ice Age, with new tools. Myth 2. Neanderthals definitely didn't wear clothes. Also busted. They did wear clothes, just simple clothing, not sewn, not tailored, functional for moderate cold, less effective in extreme cold. Myth 3. We know exactly when clothing started. Wrong. We have a range, not a point. Multiple studies, multiple estimates. Science gives ranges, not certainty. That's what makes it trustworthy, because it can be revised as new evidence appears. That's science. That's how we know what we know. Okay. Act 6. Act 6. What this means for you right now, wherever you are. You're wearing something, maybe socks, a t-shirt, jeans. Whatever it is, it's a direct descendant of a technology that emerged roughly 170,000 years ago. Not invented overnight, not by one person. Discovered, refined, passed down by thousands of generations. Your ancestors, who were cold and very clever. They kept the hide. Someone figured out sinew tie. Someone figured out poke a hole, thread something through it, attach 2 pieces together. Incremental innovation. Generation by generation. That first draped hide became a cape. The cape became a tunic. The tunic became a coat with sleeves that seal. The coat became a jacket. The jacket became what's in your closet. It's all connected. Every stitch traces back to a needle carved from bird bone. By someone who figured out, that you can connect 2 pieces of material together. That was revolutionary. Now, the lice again. Your body lice, if you happen to have any, are descended from lice. That made the same transition. When your ancestor put on their first hide, 170,000 years of lineage in the creature that's lived in human clothing for the entire history of clothing. When you do laundry, you're technically ending a lineage that goes back 170,000 years. That's a joke. Kind of. Bigger picture now. Of all human technologies, clothing is the most intimate. It touches your skin every day. It protects your most vulnerable self. It communicates before you speak. It started as survival, pure function, keep cold out. But at Sungir, 34,000 years ago, clothing was already expression, identity, status, grief. Someone spent 3,000 hours making a burial outfit. That's not survival thinking. That's human thinking. The same impulse that made the first hide meaningful still runs in you. Every time you pick an outfit, every time you dress for occasion, every time you feel more yourself in certain clothes, same impulse, 170,000 years old, encoded in your habits, your culture, your wardrobe. Every jacket, every pair of shoes, every hat, all started here with a cold, bare-skinned human who picked up an animal hide and didn't throw it away. That moment changed everything. That moment is still with us. Here's what we know. 3 clues, 3 revelations. Clue 1, genetics. C1R gene, selective sweep. Humans lost fur approximately 1 to 2 million years ago, long before clothing. Over 1 million naked years. Clue 2, lice DNA. Head to body louse divergence. Puts clothing at approximately 170,000 years ago. Body lice evolved because clothing existed. They are a living timestamp. Clue 3, artifacts, hide tools, needles, Sungir beads. By 34,000 years ago, clothing was already art. And by 50,000 years ago, how you sewed shaped which species survived. If you found this interesting, subscribe to Nemos. We cover the science of humans, behavior, psychology, anthropology, the things that explain why people do what they do, including why you're wearing exactly what you're wearing right now. There's always a reason. Last thought before you go. You're wearing technology 170,000 years old, refined across 1,030,000 years of not having it first by every cold human who ever picked up a hide and thought there must be a better way. There was. See you next time.